Alright, y'all. We're gonna have a little chat about Festival of the Lost, Festival of the Lost Wallet, Festival of the Cost, whatever you want to call it. If you've been following Twitter or Reddit especially recently, a lot of people not happy about Festival of the Lost. And it's for reasons that really shouldn't surprise anybody. First up, RNG loot boxes. If you follow the game Overwatch, you may know about an issue they ran into with their Summer Games event. If you don't, here's what happened. The Summer Games were an event in Overwatch that happened at the same time as the Olympics. They added new skins to the game, new icons, etc., etc. And you could buy these Summer Games loot boxes for real money, but there was no way to buy those summer skins or items with the in-game currency that players can slowly collect over time. Normally, whenever you level up in Overwatch, you get a loot box. If you get a duplicate item in that loot box, it is converted into gold, the in-game currency. You can then use this currency to buy any item in the game as long as you can afford it. You couldn't buy the Summer Games with gold, though. I watched a streamer dump $500, not even kidding, $500 into loot boxes to try to get a German flag player icon, and he didn't get it. And the community lost their minds. Loot boxes in Overwatch basically work the same way that they do in Destiny. Overwatch, you get 4 items, but they're completely RNG. You might get 4 duplicates, you might get 4 completely new items. But if you get duplicates, you get gold, or silver dust in Destiny for duplicate masks for this event. The difference is that you can't use silver dust to reinvest into something else, except at Xur for up to 2 different ornaments that you might not want for a price that's pretty high. Whereas with Overwatch, at least you can buy anything. You know, some items are pretty high priced, but that's because of their legendary or epic nature. And guess what? For the Overwatch Halloween event, they changed their policy from the summer event, and now you can buy the Halloween items for the in-game currency. It's expensive, probably to incentivize buying the boxes, but you can still do it. So this time around, much like an SRL situation, which I didn't like, you can buy boxes and get duplicates. There is no guarantee of getting the thing that you actually want. It's like a trading card booster pack, but Destiny isn't a trading card game, and I don't think it should be exactly treated as such. I don't think we should be seeing a situation where a player can spend $100 on something and still not get the thing that they want. With SRL, you couldn't buy the Sparrow that you wanted. Yes, it was smart loot enabled, so you wouldn't end up with a duplicate, and yes, there were only 5, but that's still up to a potential $25 for the Sparrow that you might have wanted. Players would much rather be able to pick and choose the items that they would like to buy. But if that were the system that made the most money, we'd probably have that system in place right now. With Festival of the Lost, there are definitely some highlight items that people are looking for, namely the Fire Wolf Mask and the Ghost. Unfortunately, some people are having to spend a lot of money to try to get these items, while some people just end up getting them on their first box. Can we get some sort of middle ground here? Anything? Anything in the middle? With Festival of the Lost, there's basically no grinding for the items that you might want. You have the opportunity to get 3 Treasure of the Lost, 1 per character, via the quest. There are certainly more free items this time around, shaders, emblems, etc., and I'll definitely give credit there. Compared to last year, it's pretty nice. But these aren't items that came in any sort of loot boxes, so it sort of feels weird to include. What if there were an Overwatch-like system for those players who wanted to grind their way to some cool items? What if every time you turned in a bag of candy to Ava, you could get a token, and then you could use those tokens to buy a specific item from Tess? 10 tokens for a mask, 25 for the Sparrow, 50 for the Ghost and the ornaments, 100 for the Fire Wolf. It doesn't have to be those numbers exactly, I'm just spitballing here. This way, if people with hours and hours of time on their hands want to grind for those items, they can grind. Whereas people without that kind of time could just buy a loot box, but hopefully a less RNG focused loot box so that people aren't spending $50 or more for a mask that they just can't happen to get. I don't care about the masks, I'm never going to use them, ever. They take your helm slot, you lose your bonuses, they drop your light. Maybe if the masks could be applied ornament style so that we could actually wear them without light getting dropped, or maybe you could infuse them, you could incentivize buying masks a little bit more. That's sort of irrelevant to the microtransactions topic, though. That's just a side note. You could use silver dust as this in-between currency like gold in Overwatch, but you might need to retool it a little bit compared to how it operates now and how it is earned. I originally wasn't going to make a video about this because it almost feels pointless to talk about. Microtransactions are something that Bungie has been pretty silent about ever since they became a thing. The only thing recently that they have sort of backtracked on were the ornaments for certain armor like the raid and trials. I'm not going to give them too much credit for that because that's how it should have been in the first place. Days of Iron ornaments are still an issue as well. And while it's not any sort of official statement, an article came out recently by Super Data Research saying that Destiny may have pulled in more money during Rise of Iron's launch than the original game launch. People always say, in a more negative way with regards to microtransactions, vote with your wallet, let them know that we don't like this. If you don't buy it, then they won't push it. Well, the people are voting all right, and it's making them a ton of money. If the system of selling items individually was going to be more profitable than selling RNG loot boxes, they probably would be doing that right now, like I said earlier. I get it. Gotta keep the lights on. They're not pushing out expansions like they were in year one. It's just not feasible for them to do. And they gotta make up that revenue somehow, and microtransactions are working. And the fact that literally all of the Festival of the Lost items are cosmetic, with the exception of the ghosts if we want to get technical, doesn't really help either. It means that Activision and Bungie can just straight up say, none of the items affect gameplay, go yourselves, and we move nowhere in the conversation anyway. It just feels like all of the events that these microtransactions were supposed to fuel are just fueling more microtransaction-based events. It hasn't been like that for every event, I know, but it feels like it. I think all people are asking for is to just meet us halfway. Let the people who want to grind their butts off grind for the cool items, and let the people who don't buy their way to a fire wolf mask, but fairly. But of course, that's gonna probably cut into some revenue, so I get it. I'm not happy about it, but I guess I get it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.